Sorry if it sounds like an Academy Award speech, but I want to just say, I just got back from 2 days or a night in the desert, the Negev, with my sister at this amazing place. And I want to thank Ronnie for giving us this opportunity to pull this 2 months of what feels like a dream. And I was in the Negev desert where our ancestors wandered in the desert. And that really feels like what we've been doing for the last couple months, last couple years. And in so many ways, we're finding so much and relying on love and each other. So I want to thank Ronnie for that. I want to thank my wife, not just for taking care of our kids and working and the logistical piece, but for what we've had to deal with together in this time during the pandemic, just to let go of needing to be here even. She is the biggest gift of my life. Our kids are doing well, and I just can't thank her enough. And around that, all the people that have helped support Ashley and my family while I've been gone. And I want to just thank my parents for supporting this treatment. I realize how privileged I am to be able to do this treatment. I'm here in Israel because it's not yet offered in the United States. It's not FDA approved. I'm doing this nuclear treatment. So I'm grateful for them to support this. We're all coming together. I think everybody being here together right now is indicative of that. I want to thank Sarah, Ellie, Eitan, Jonah for allowing me into their space. I've lived here. It's been an incredible privilege to see their life and to be here. And also the community of friends in Israel. I feel a connection to this country, to my people, beyond anything I thought imaginable. And, I've been here during this strange time. The whole city's been locked down. Actually, restaurants are opening up the day that I'm planning on leaving. So it's surreal to be in Tel Aviv when it's been shut down. But it's also, I'm understanding it differently. And there's just been this community of people here, some are on this call, that have just made me feel at home. And I'm so grateful for that. And David and Ian for encouraging me to get this out. It's been important. Poetry's been important. I discovered poetry late, and it's been a lifeline for me. When you have something as invasive in your body, where does your mind and your soul go? So to have this space of imagination and poetry to be able to go out, I think Sarah and I were talking about it, it's created space, other space to connect and heal. So I feel plugged into something much greater, and I have some amazing teachers that have helped me to discover and express. So thank you for being willing to listen to some poems. I think the poems are gonna tell the story. I've likened this time since I've been diagnosed, it's been almost 2 years now, is like crossing this very rough river. If you're on a mountain trail and you have to get across this river, and there's these rocks and you have to just keep hopping across the river, all these different steps. And I feel like the poems have helped guide me in a way. And I think they'll tell the story of pain, of hope, of gratitude. And so it means a lot that you're here. Like I said, I don't know emotionally how I'm going to get through this, but it's important for me and my family and that we do this. So thank you for being here. All right, so, David said this is the last of the series. This hopefully is not my last poetry reading. I'm just, this is a celebration series, and it's really been interesting it spanned the pandemic. We met in May. I was in Houston at the time, switching care. And David, his daughter was diagnosed. And by the way, David, I'm so thrilled for your family, and it brings me such joy. And I'm didn't see Cooper, and I just can't wait for everything to stabilize as we move forward. But we did one reading in May, and then we did one reading in October. In this pandemic, we're all just in this state of uncertainty. And now I feel like we wanted to mark this time especially in a broader context with. It just seems like things are shifting and opening, and we're all in this together. So I'm gonna start the poems. The first poem, wrote in the fall. My good friend Maya, her family has a land in Page Springs. It's just north of Sedona. It's an amazing wine country in Arizona, and it's natural water and just the most beautiful. It was just incredible. So we actually got camping with my kids. Ashley and I took the kids camping, and this is a poem about that special place. This spring, two streams become one below a silent singing spring, whose silky sandy bottom bubbles with pure earth nectar flowing through sinewy green serpentine reeds. Cicadas cluster like maracas in towering cottonwoods, socked in beside sycamores. Rusty red dragonflies hover over blackberry bushes beside butterflies. I reluctantly remain dry. So one of the things that's been common through this is there's periods of awe and inspiration and natural beauty, and then you have to have a conversation with a doctor, or you have to be waiting for a wait list for a clinical trial. So this kind of a poem I wrote captures a conversation after a hard call with a doctor. Blurry lens. Hard to feel what's real when different the doctor thinks. A code, not a key. Kids' silky skin, sandpaper rubbing life on a chipped away coat. Life force fades under invisible bright between each hug held longer. Tough to break through light with only flesh from a fist, punching through clouds. No wind here tonight, no new beginnings in sight. Thoughts stuck in this plight. Boom. A half-deflated balloon pinched by a finger and a thumb forms two newly buoyant shapes. The swelling mass compressing this life spreads wonder from the deepest struggle, light the fuse. Some sparks, poems, arise from fading power, cluster moments toward ignition. There's been, Ashley and I were able to sneak away for a staycation in a couple of our favorite places. We took a risk. We did a risk. We needed to have some time together. So I wrote a couple poems from that weekend. And it was really meaningful to be together. Moment as metaphor. Tucked in the Tortolita Mountains, in a valley where Hohokam peoples traced boundaries in battles on petroglyphs, where a new fortunate few recline and unwind by pools, the silence is the same. My gaze from a hammock fixed on flight patterns of a single hummingbird zipping in and out yellow puffy stars of a Palo Verde, its matte green bark tattooed on a blue sky. I walk away wondering how and why. I rest in an upright seated pose on a patch of grass on the coast of the desert. Turn gaze inward toward breath, outward toward spirit, eyes open to velvet lavender skies, ears catch the echo of a flute, infinity in the valley. I walk toward a still pool, empty of people, eyes fixed on a spinning yellow jacket fighting for life on the surface. I push it to the side with a cup, prop it out and watch its stunning stripes gyrate water off its torso. Its wing looks broken. Did my intervention fail and ruin its final moments? I cried, gave it one last push. It hovered and then flew away. Ashley and I love to go to this place for the day, and we sign up for classes, and it's a spa in Tucson. And I joined this class, these boards on water, people do aerobics, and I'm physically compromised, but I still thought I could do everything, of course. So I signed up for this really demanding class that I probably had no business doing. But this was my experience in this Boga Fit class. Moment as metaphor 2. The fit and privileged women position themselves in the pool on floating inflatable islands called Boga boards. Our anxious laughter anticipated chaos, at least I did. In the first 10 seconds, I fell. I got up and fell again and again. It all felt normal, even fun, until one of them reminded me that my falls make waves, and the waves may muddle their moats. Another woman, eyes fixed forward, chimed in over my latest splash. It's a better workout this way. I didn't believe her. Another woman asked if I was okay. It seems like total chaos. I told her she had no idea. I kept falling, launching off of all sides of the board, banging knees and wrists, pulling myself up after each fall until I stopped to rest in the wavy water between boards. That's when I saw the water as the earth on which I stand. I pulled myself up again, standing stable and stout, eyes fixed forward on the instructor, his pointed forefingers flung like flames like his voice. You're alive! And I cried, and the song came on. I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive. And I cried, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive. So in late, around Thanksgiving time, I had a hot spot, some new pain. I could feel the cancer spreading. You can tell. You can just tell. So they were going to do some. I coordinated with the team at MD Anderson, and they got me set up for radiation. So I went to Houston. Really in a terrible time. The COVID was blowing up in Arizona and Texas, of course. And so that's where I was flying to and from, Arizona, Texas. It was terrible. And Ashley, stayed with the kids, and I was in Houston for I think like 11 or 12 days for radiation. And it was really lonely. I wrote some poems there, but I'm choosing one poem I think that just kind of captures that time. Treatment blues. These tears, salty words find a way to wash away the slush. Ideas open like fireworks shot from a mind and a body held captive. The gnats are magnificent in the haze of a setting sun. So at that point, I was not feeling comfortable waiting on a wait list for a clinical trial. I've been eyeing this lutetium radiation treatment that you can't get in the States. I started to do some research to see what countries offered it. And sure enough, there was Sheba Hospital in Israel. So we got on that, and I started to do started to engage with that hospital and medical tourism. And I needed some scans to see if I was a good candidate for it. I thought I was, and ended up working with a great team at UCSF and scheduled some scans. And Ashley and I were able to take an amazing trip to the Bay Area in December, which was super special. I saw friends and hiked in Muir Woods and it was amazing. And really just got quality time with my wife. And this set of poems, I think, captures really I think we might have a Cooper. Are you, bring please. Is Cooper coming? No? I can't hear you. Hey, yes. What's up, Cooper? Cooper, what's up?
Say hi to everybody. Everyone wants to see your pretty face.
Cooper, congrats, sweet girl. So proud of you. I can't wait to hang out with you. We
Next
love
week.
you.
Next week,
We
maybe.
love you. Yeah, I can't
Okay.
wait. All right. So, really the thing that's going to happen to crack this damn disease is on immunology. So, MD Anderson, we're working on it. And I just, I've been getting these bone biopsies and they're really, and so far it's just not, it's this variant prostate cancer is tricky. Anyway, I wrote this poem. I was reviewing the genetic results. It's just not a easy thing, but I wrote this poem about that. Genetic code for sports car. P10, RBI, TP53, all hot bodies shining at the show. Combined, they form red, streamlined, souped up, never before seen, cameras flashing. I sit behind the wheel, put my foot on the gas, 0 to 60 in less than 3. This lion roars, this ride screams. I scream, stop the car. There are no brakes, and nobody hears me. Why? I'm trying not to be scared, I tell her. Her wrinkled forehead speaks louder than her eyes. I don't tell her about the fever that won't go away or the new hot spot on the back of the left side of my skull. Maybe it's just stress. I don't ask why. I don't tell her about feeling alone on a runaway train. Why tell anybody? Why tell myself? I don't tell her why I keep writing these poems, why I'm writing this book no one may ever want to read. I don't tell her why, not because I'm hiding why, but because I don't know why. I don't know why any of this is happening. Why? I cry why like a child, these words, dry sap on bark in winter. The why is a line split by another inclined line. It divides and spreads up. Why? Why does a Y look like a Y? Why? Why ask why? Why do any of it if I'm gonna die? I guess that's why I try, because I don't wanna die. And while I live on, I might as well stop asking why. Out of alignment. All still on a windless night, stars bright, feels right to veer attention beyond sight. What to find in this body when I turn just right, my ribs split like a murder. Pain flashes, floods the dam, then settles like a tide pool. Is my liver blushing, dressed up as a rash on my arms? Are those hives just saying hi, or a check engine light in the middle of my chest? Is that blistering eczema a plague on my feet? Sure feels biblical. It all feels biblical. This disease, this squeeze on my system, a scorpion stinging itself, a fried blooming onion, a wireless bale of hay, a prickly pear, a porcupine, a parachute with a few minuscule holes on two panels, falling toward a bed of plumes. Smoke on a plank. I land face up, eyes rolled back like two moons. And then I was on a flight to Israel. My brother-in-law Ellie and Sarah, man, we hustled. This was during, Israel was closing the country. We had a limited time frame. It got hectic. I literally got a call from Ellie. He's like, you need to fly out like tomorrow. So we had about 24 hours. Ashley totally supported it. We got everything together. And at the time, the COVID was just blowing up. The elections were, that a mess. It was so intense. And I was really feeling like if I didn't get to Israel, I'd end up with COVID. My cancer's spreading. So, there I was. I got to Chicago. I got on a plane, and I wrote a couple poems on that flight. These are the poems in anticipation for Israel. Held in the air again, to fall into a cloud and land in welcoming hands. Operation Warp Speed. Now that we have the vaccine, we race in place. Calling it a race won't get us to the end faster. I'm racing less, falling more, finding joy walking in spiraling circles, expanding, never reaching the end. Adding one to remove another. You start with a layer of old compost, a mix of dirt and decomposing newspaper, stiff, crumbled, and bent after months of exposure to the sun and a little rain. That's the base. Then you add a little goop, wet vegetables congealed with coffee grounds, pickle juice, and some eggshells. Left alone, it may just sit there, so you have to add the worms from the last barrel, leaving those squirmy maggots to writhe in the new pile, spreading those cells that rot out the bones from the inside. What if a magic potion killed the maggots and slowed the degradation of the bones? Would the pile dry up? Would the cells stop multiplying? Would the vegetables separate from the newspaper, allowing the bones to heal? That's lutetium. So that's what I was looking forward to when I got here. And it's very hopeful that this drug would wipe out my cancer and we'd bring my family here and I'd be taking surfing lessons and riding bikes, and things don't always work out as planned. So now I'm gonna call my sister in to kind of bring us that perspective. And then I'll read a few more poems from Israel and we'll close it out. Again, thank you for being here. Sarah.
So, yeah, I'm here. We went in two different rooms because we thought it might be too hard to be together, but I'm gonna come in the other room, Josh, so just hold on one second.
Winging it, love it.
When this started and the screen popped up with over 100 beautiful faces to be part of this, my heart just exploded. So thank you. And I am so proud of my brother for, everything that he's doing. But, I think the poems just came for him, and it's, in an untenable situation, to have the courage to put words to it and express it out and get it out is part of healing and grieving. And to be able to share them and be supported by so many people who love and care about him and us means the world. And, what are the chances that this treatment would be in Tel Aviv so that he could come and be part of my life here and live in my house with us and walk down the street with me and see my interactions in my life and really witness my life is the greatest gift I've been given, maybe ever. And I really thank our parents and especially Ashley and the kids for sharing him during this time. A part of me feels like it's stolen time, but I think we all know that we're just doing what we need to do and walking the road. So you're doing an amazing job.
So are you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go back to my room.
So it really has been such a privilege to be here. The community of friends and family here in Israel, I've just plugged into it and they've become my community. And I just feel this greater connection to this place and my sister and family's life, and it has been a real privilege. So the story of Israel has been a lot about connection. It's been a journey in pain. I mean, the reality is, unfortunately, the disease has advanced since I got here. I've taken 2 of the 4 doses of this very powerful nuclear isotope. And I also got these vaccines, and I think it just overwhelmed my immune system. And so I'm really, one of the things I'm so grateful to the providers here at Sheba Hospital, where I'm being treated, but also, everywhere I've gone, Cleveland Clinic, MD Anderson, Mayo Clinic, Banner in Tucson. There's just, it's just this incredible, we're all working towards the same, so it's just very, like Sarah said, it's just, so anyway, the poems I wrote or chose to share, I think capture, the wonder of Israel and discovery and creativity, and also this exploration of pain, physical pain, emotional pain. And so that's what I'm going to be reading. And thank you, Sarah, for your words. It meant a lot to a lot of people. So I've got 3 short poems to start this off. Night ache. Hard to quiet the mind when the bones are screaming. Nowhere for them to go. Skin burns on the inside. And I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be alive. Destiny. Viscous lives thickened. Golden lava loosens time. carves new options through. Seeking space. I want to swim. I want to walk in the wild. I want to be water. So maybe the poem I'm most, it's a short poem, but the poem that I think is the hardest, will be the hardest to read, is this one. So, a great gift of this process has been my connection to my dad. You know, we're both going through a lot physically, emotionally, but he's just stepped up. He's always stepped up, but he's stepped up emotionally. You know, I come from, you know, these tears are my family's, Papa Gene, Papa Art. My dad, you know, hasn't shown as much emotion till lately, but he's stepped up for me in all the best ways, and it's been a real gift this time. So this is a poem I wrote after a challenging conversation. Grasp. A 47-year-old man tells his father, "I don't want to die." The hand of a son reaches through his dad's heart, and he listens. All right. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, everybody, for getting through that. So the next poem, this I think comes to just the wonder of Tel Aviv. I love this city. I love that it's such a creative place. It is booming and growing, and to be in the city when it's shut down, it's weird, but it's also still just like ready to pop. And I'm kind of sad to be leaving. The whole city and country is opening up, I think, on Sunday. We haven't eaten at restaurants. We're in Tel Aviv and we're not eating at restaurants. So I'm excited. I was hoping to be here when the city blows up. But I hope to come back because there is a chance that this could be working. So anyway, this is my sister and her family live on Rothschild Boulevard. A lot of you have been to Israel. It's an amazing street, tree lined, and just so much activity. It's been a lifeline for me in connection to the city. So I've been seeing the city from higher up now. It's a different perspective. Rothschild Boulevard. From a roof, the trees form a river. Thick evergreen bursts of life offer shade to walkers, riders, protesters marching to snare drums, anti-BB chants, smokers and runners, some in a hurry, others parked with grandchildren on synthetic grass. This vein, this artery pumps life force into the heart of Tel Aviv, palpitating a pulse from its people. I like that poem. I just love this city. So this next poem is intense. It's a longer one. And then I've got one poem after that. But I think this poem captures the evolution, the development of the pain. And it also, I think, right now, I had a good response to this first lutetium dose. I could feel it. My body just absorbed this radiation and I could feel it working, sizzling this stuff. And I thought, my pain was going down, but my PSA numbers were going up and it was a mixed bag. And then the pain just came on raging. Sarah witnessed it. We were talking about it. It just feels like it was like a dream, like a nightmare, really. So this, I think, captures the evolution of that and the desperation, really. And then I'll finish off on a lighter note. The first blast and what remains. So this is a sequence poem. It's divided into 4 parts. 1. The first dose poked a nest of hibernating hornets held tightly around larvae, compounding in nests throughout the bones. Tumor clusters, constellations on a SPECT CT, that first dose, synthetic isotope, a concentrated fire hose blasting radiation to every worker, every queen, dispersing them into a phosphoric frenzy. This sneak attack is no nuclear holocaust, not yet anyway. These singed cells are swinging, are stinging. How many survived the blast? 2. When the pain subsides, life opens like a sunrise. The future manifests as a sweet fruit ripening on a tree, out of reach, but in sight. I imagine the nectar of a miracle dripping down my chin. 3. Second vaccine. That second vaccine distracts an overworked immune system, a détente, terms negotiated under the necessity of a pandemic, clear highways in the bone for the hornets to come home. Those surviving workers, drunk and mutated, return to their nests. They hover over their hungry young, shivering. Their protective impulse agitates my nerve endings. Now I feel all of them, all of those nests scattered in neck, shoulders, ribs, pelvis, skull. We're all fighting to survive in the same hollowing tree. 4. An intuitive body worker reminds me that pain is intimate. Her words diffuse the electrical storm formed in constricting muscles, protecting a spine under attack. We're all under attack in the same hollowing tree. My spine squeezed by a boa, their wings and bodies shaken by a beta blast. My head rests on a pillow, body tucked in a fetal position on a soft floor mattress in a bedroom in Yafo. Perforated sunlight warms my stiff and cold torso. I thirst for touch, anticipate those warm hands with a slower breath. I wait for those delicious warm hands she is rubbing vigorously. I drink lavender scent infused in the room. My spine and spirit settle to welcome her touch. Ah, she exhales my fear. Ah, I meld into the moment. Like an oracle, she tells me, your pain is a reminder to move closer to your soul. I believe her. So the last poem is a poem called Pathways, and I think that's, I'm glad I'm including this one because I think it's a really important idea right now. You know, the virus, it's all these pathways. I think of that my cancer, prostate cancer, one of the things that's so challenging is there's all these different pathways that it can go. So if you block one pathway, it finds another one. You block another. And in the pandemic, the virus is doing that too. And you know, we're all in our own pathways. And I think of the misinformation and the hatred and all those are all pathways. And I also think about what we're doing here, bringing people together, healing together, loving, being vulnerable, creating art. And this is what's expressed in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv, there's all these creators and makers and people doing things. And one of the things that's amazing about this place is there's all these little alleyways and pathways in the city that you discover really to come together. So this was a poem I wrote on one of the walks with Sarah down the boulevard, Even Gavral, I can't pronounce it, I struggle with that one. But this is a poem called Pathways. By stopping, We make space for the moment. Katriko makes buttery barekas off a boulevard in Tel Aviv. A Dali poster of dripping clocks sits above his shop, and the sign above Katriko's cash register, Abbey Road. Of course, Abbey Road. Pathways to remember, pathways to pause. Mind and soul converse between bites. The wind blows a cool breeze over hot shoulders. Sirens arrive and disappear. Melting clocks, melting bites. I discover a pathway behind the shop. Weeds form a path to a lone banyan tree. No leaves, but life in skeletal remains. We're all a part of an expanding one. Thank you for being here. Ian.
Josh, this is really amazing. You know, when I called in a couple of minutes early for the call and I saw you, and of course, Josh isn't sitting in front of this wise owl that's ready to soar, preparing for takeoff. It's exactly who you are, Josh. It really is. It's amazing. You know, I'm just sitting here reflecting and, you know, from some of the things you read from being like, I'm alive to the why. And I think your poetry is, it's so deep and it's so moving, but as you're vulnerable and you've opened yourself up so much, you've really helped all of us, especially me on this call, open up. And, you know, one thing I just want to really acknowledge you for is in your really reaching to live, getting to is figuring out how to do that, being with your sister, you're opening up all these miracles. And especially in a time where so many people aren't alive, they're like checking out of life. You're like inspiring us all to be more alive. And just the power and just the amazing poetry you're reading is just, you're beyond an amazing artist, but it's so inspirational what you're doing, and especially now. So I just, you know, I knew this was going to be great. And when we encouraged you to do it in the beginning, this is 100 times better than, you know, I think any of us could have ever imagined. So I just want to say thank you and I love you. And you're an inspiration to all of us. I'm going to pass it to the rabbi.
Josh, what can I add? Thank you so much for your words that create music, as we said last time. I also want to add that Talmudic statement that speaks of words that can be the channel of the mouth, words that can be the channel of the heart, and words that can be the channel of the soul. And today, your words were the channel of your shining soul, and your light penetrated my soul and surely uplifted and illuminated our lives. And like Ian just said, your life enhances our lives so much more. And we're forever, forever, forever grateful to you, to your friendship, but most importantly, to your shining soul that continues to shed its light to the four corners of our world. I want to share two brief stories in conclusion. One story is for you, Josh. And that story takes us to Sir Edmund Hillary, who was the first man to climb Mount Everest. And he climbed it finally in 1953, after many, many attempts. He describes these attempts in a book that he wrote called High Adventures. And there he tells the story of how in 1952, before he achieved this feat, he was to speak to a group of British climbers. When he walked on stage, there was a picture of Mount Everest right behind him, behind the podium. And in the middle of his lecture, he felt like he couldn't continue anymore. And instead he went to the picture, and in front of everyone, he spoke to Mount Everest itself. And he said to Mount Everest, look, I will beat you one day. I will reach your peak because you've done all the growing that you can. I, on the other hand, am still growing. And Josh, you are facing a Mount Everest. We know that, it's no secret. But through your words, you've proved to us that you are still growing. Through your actions, you've demonstrated that your growth is an inspiring one, and one that certainly can overcome any Mount Everest that comes your way. We believe in you, Josh. We know that your growth that inspires so many of us will conquer this Mount Everest that you're facing. And by conquering it, just like Sir Edmund Hillary, you too will continue to be that ultimate inspiration to our world and to our lives equally. Second brief story is really for all of us. And I'm reminded of Chick Corea, who just passed away on February 9th, 2021. Chick Corea was one of my favorite artists. But Chick Corea, known for his many compositions, known for changing the world of jazz and music altogether. But there's this beautiful story about Chick Corea, who was once performing in, I think it was Baltimore. And they were just before the performance, just before the curtains opened up, the crowd was asked to sit in one of the VIP seats right in the front. There was a mother with a child. She wanted to bring her son to appreciate music and to teach him about the wonders of Chick Corea. And just before this concert began, as the crowd is asked to sit down, she sits down, looks to her right, and a child is missing. She doesn't know what to do. She can't get up. The concert is about to begin. The curtains then immediately open up, and to her horror, she sees her son on a massive Steinway piano right at the center of the stage. Chick Corea comes on stage, and he, to his astonishment, to the astonishment of the crowd, he sees this young boy playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So he reaches to the piano and he whispers in the ears of this young boy, "Don't quit, keep playing." Soon enough, he sits, he takes his left hand, takes his right hand, and accompanies this Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star played by that one finger of that single boy in the most majestic and masterful way. They together created that evening one of the greatest feats in jazz music and one of the sweetest melodies that any crowd has ever heard. We tell you, Josh, all of us here together and the thousands that I know with you, don't quit, keep playing. You are playing some of the sweetest melodies that the world has heard. We ask you, don't quit, keep playing. We'll be putting our left hand, our right hand around you, embracing you with all our love. And we know that together we will create music that will sweeten the ears of this generation, of next generation, and all generations to come. Thanks to you, Josh, the sweetness and the light of your soul, and the unique music, the most beautiful and astounding music that only you can create and continues to create. Thank you. We love you.
Amen, my brother. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'm so
God.
glad you're here in
Love
my
you,
life.
my friend.
All right. So Dave, I think, we're gonna, David, if you want to close it, that we'll
I
stay
just
on a
wanna
little
cry.
bit.
I'm just
Yeah.
clapping. That was so great. Amazing.
Got through it. Anyway, thank you.
Close.
No, please close this out.
There's nothing more to say after that. I just think let's just keep it going. We'll have a new series. We're gonna start a new series. And that's how I'm gonna end it. This is the beginning of this series, and we're gonna start a new series. And in the meantime, please stay on if you want to ask Josh questions or have a little conversation. Thank you so much, everybody. For
Yeah, it means so much that there's so many people on this call, and I haven't looked at the chat or anything, but thank you for being here. You're supporting me and my family, and I'm glad this is over, but I'm also glad, like I said, I hope it's not this is the end of this series. It's time to move on. All right, that's it.